We're a company that has been born in India and built in India. You can say that we are 100% made in India, not just by heart, but also by ownership. It's very important for me to make this point right now, because most of the companies which are our size are not actually owned by Indians. There are global larger networks which own most of the advertising agencies in our country. And today I'm going to share some insights which possibly can inspire and help create more entrepreneurship in the digital marketing industry. See, we all know that digital marketing and the demand for it has been growing exponentially. And to meet this demand, there are new agencies being started every single day. It's estimated that there are close to around 50,000 small and mid-sized agencies in our country. More so in this world of work from home and distributed flexible talent spaces. I must also speak about the focus that the government has had on Startup India, the constant efforts and initiatives by Niti Aayog, as well as Atal Innovation Mission, AIM. They totally deserve credit for this, for creating a spark of entrepreneurship also in the digital advertising industry. We must also understand that this is a relatively easier business to start. You don't require a lot of resources. All you need is possibly a laptop, a creative mind, and a brave heart. But this is also a business which is difficult to scale and to sustain. Every single day, I come across so many small and medium-sized agencies with some of the most brilliant founders which are shutting down. And there is something common for the reason why a lot of agencies shut down. Today, possibly I'll share some of these reasons and also possibly request the government on certain aspects which I feel can benefit the entire industry, especially the homegrown Indian independent agencies. But before I go to the challenges and what could be done, let me just quickly highlight the opportunity that is there in front of us. In India, the advertising spends last year were close to 70,000 crores, the total advertising spends. And the digital share of this, which in 2019 was around 20%, last year grew to around 32-33%. And this year, it will be close to 40%, which is a huge proportion of your total advertising spends. And over the next 10 years, this is expected to grow over 10 times. So in around 2032, we'll see that 90 to 95% of the total ad spend which are happening will be driven through digital. Okay, so you can safely say that today, where we are around 20,000 to 22,000 crores in terms of digital advertising spends, in 2030, we'll be close to 2 lakh crore in terms of digital advertising spends. Our country is also the second fastest growing market in the top 10 countries for digital ad spends. And we are the 6th largest contributor to incremental ad spends last year. There has been a massive growth, in the switch to digital. Today, businesses are not just being built on digital and are being digital first in terms of their strategy, but a lot of business today are digital only. We see today D2C brands, which people are starting in their homes, and the only distribution for them is through e-commerce. So naturally, the kind of marketing that these are leveraging is more through digital. And it's not just about these new age companies, but old legacy, larger companies, both MNC as well as family-owned companies in metros as well as tier 2 and tier 3 cities that have really adapted digital in the past 12 to 24 months. And it's naturally because today customers are on digital. And as digital penetration is increasing, we are seeing greater monthly active users and time spent on chat messengers, on OTT platforms, on e-commerce, on social media. So digital is nowhere the future. It is our present. It is the now. But a lot of this exponential growth that we are seeing is not really benefiting and trickling down to the small and mid-sized agencies in our country. I would say, I would stick my neck out and say that there are around 4 to 5 global non-listed, listed non-Indian companies which control close to 90% of the total digital ad spends. So naturally, the smaller entrepreneurial, small, mid-size Indian-grown companies are not being able to take advantages. When they reach a particular size or scale, since they are no longer able to sustain and take advantage, they no longer remain independent. So I have 5 points which I would love to share, which possibly, if certain efforts are done together as an industry and supported by the government, we could see more successes in our industry. The first point I would like to mention is that when it comes to digital media, something that we just spoke about, there is always a factor as to what is the media commission being offered. Now, you must understand that some of the larger companies have huge volumes at a global level. And because of the huge volumes, they're able to offer very discounted media commission rates to brands, which is at times very difficult for a small or mid-sized company to compete against. They may have all the talent, they may have all the capabilities, but they will never be able to compete on that media commission. And they lose out on the race. Added to this, there are certain things called as annual volume discounts, which are done at a global leadership level for a lot of larger organizations which are non-Indian, where they also get benefit from the platforms, in terms of a rebate on the media that is done. Sadly, small, mid-sized Indian companies don't get such kind of discounts and levies, and hence they are not able to compete when it comes to these larger global companies. So, can there be some kind of a standardization when it comes to media commission in an industry? That is something that would help smaller agencies, especially which focus on digital media, to survive and to thrive. That's the first point. The second big problem that we see in our industry is the problem of clients and brands defaulting. So especially when a lot of media amount is involved, a small mid-sized agency may do a big media campaign. And if the client really defaults, the small agency still has to pay a Facebook or Instagram or Google or LinkedIn the money for that media. Otherwise, they are scared of getting blacklisted. But on the other hand, a brand may choose not to pay. And there are many instances where I've seen very fabulous small mid-sized agencies which have shut shop because they have had one very large client which is defaulted. There are a lot of, obviously redressal mechanisms already in place, but most of these redressal mechanisms which are there take a lot of time. They entail a lot of legal fees, court fees, and the time and bandwidth of a founder. And that for a small mid-sized agencies is gold. So that is a very big problem that is being faced. So can there be some mechanism for small and mid-sized businesses, if there is a brand defaulting, a quicker addressal method and a speedy recovery, maybe a specialized tribunal for our industry, which could help save a lot of agencies from shutting down? That's the point number 2. Point number 3 is about equalization levy today, which is charged at around 6%. We must understand that a lot of digital agencies buy media slots on different social platforms. And if the amount of spends that an agency is not doing enough, most of these social media platforms don't give a credit line. They ask the agency to put in their credit card. Now, when a credit card is put to do these media buying activities, there is no option to deduct the levy at 6%, which is there. And this becomes an added expense for an agency, which is very difficult to recover later. This also happens if an agency is buying online at, say, stock images at Shutterstock or some tools for online marketing. Today, the exemption for this is limited at 1 lakh rupees. I would use this platform to say that if this exemption of 1 lakh on the equalization levy is increased to 10 lakhs, it would be more comfortable for smaller agencies to survive. The fourth point that I want to make is about quarterly GST filers. Now, in the past 12 months, we must realize that there has been a big impetus to the gig economy, which includes freelancers, influencers, solopreneurs, which have really got a boost. And today, a lot of small agencies also work with a lot of freelancers, influencers to create a very fluid workplace. Most of these fall into the quarterly GST filers in terms of filing GST quarterly. So unless they file their returns, which is after a quarter, the GST credit is not really visible to the agencies and their cash flows get impacted negatively. Today, the variance which is allowed for a business like ours is around 5%, where you can claim extra GST credit up to 5%, which is not reflected in 2A. Should this be increased to at least at 12 to 15% to give a bit more leeway and not block cash flows for agencies which are small and mid-size? Lastly, I want to speak about something which can give a very big impetus to this entire small and mid-sized agencies in the country. And this is government tenders. Now, the eligibility for most government tenders in terms of revenues is kept at a higher benchmark, which automatically excludes small size, mid-size agencies who are very capable in terms of talent to deliver a solution. This should be seriously looked at. Also, in a world where a lot of international brand mandates are automatically decided at an international level, and a lot of global advertising companies get them by default, there should be some advantage for Indian companies to at least get Indian tenders, or get a fighting chance to win those Indian tenders. Today, they are a non-starter in the race to get government tenders. So this is something that I would like to raise with on this fabulous platform. 5 points. I think if some of these points could be considered, it could go a long way in promoting entrepreneurship in the digital advertising industry. I'd love to thank BW Business World, Dr. Anurag Batra, and the entire team at BW Business World for providing me with this platform to raise such critical points for our industry. I hope some of these points are considered and we see more entrepreneurship in the digital advertising industry. Jai Hind.